Hey, it's Les from the TV Dudes. This week, I'm thrilled to chat with actor Tray Chaney. Tray rose to fame as Poot Carr on HBO's The Wire, and followed that up with roles in such films and series as Head of State with Chris Rock, Saints and Sinners, and Boomerang. He currently plays Gordon Hawk on the critically acclaimed We Own This City, and Tango Unchained in the new comedy film We Need to Talk, which is available on digital streaming platforms now. We have a great chat about his time working on The Wire, the reunion with those creators, on the new series We Own This City, and much, much more. It's a great interview, and I hope you enjoy.
Les, it's Tray Chaney.
Hey, thank you so much for making time on a Sunday. I really appreciate it.
Hey, man. Thank you.
So I just going over my notes here. I actually was just looking up and reading some excerpts out of your book as well. Really excited to talk to you. So, I mean, obviously you've been involved with a couple of productions that everybody, I think, has followed, The Wire, and now We Own This City. Can you talk to me a little bit about your start when you got bit by the acting bug? Was there a first moment where you went, this is a thing, this is a real thing I got to do?
Yeah, man. Well, my start in this business was at the age of 8 years old as a hip hop artist, dancer. And, that continued on for many years, me performing all over. One of the most prominent and huge performances was New York City, Showtime at the Apollo, winning 5 times. And that continued, until I was about 18 years old. I was discovered at the Lincoln Theater in my hometown, Washington, D.C., by a woman by the name of Linda Townsend. And she said, I don't represent hip-hop artists. I only represent actors. And she wanted to represent me as an actor because she knew that I wasn't stage fright. And I wasn't scared to get in front of audiences, and I wasn't scared to memorize dialogue because I'm a writer. And I'll never forget that she said, I'm going to send you on this audition. And my first job I ever booked was The Wire, the HBO series. And that's when the acting bug always was there. I just wasn't recognized for it yet.
Right.
The acting bug was, I took drama in high school, and I've always wanted to be an actor or be in the business in some type of fashion. But I said, when I went in there and I read for Weebay, then HBO and David Simon, the creators, they called me back and they say, well, you didn't book Weebay. We casted you as this character, Malik Poot Carr. And once I got on set, that's when I knew that this thing was for real. But I didn't know what I was a part of. I didn't know The Wire was going to be the most groundbreaking, critically acclaimed show of all time.
Yeah. Yeah. I always wonder if, during projects that you just can't know. I'm sure you can have a feel of when a project is done, in your opinion, better or worse for your experience on set. But there's not really a way to know sometimes that you're making something just legendary.
Yeah, man, that's true. I mean, I knew that I was a part of something special, but I didn't understand. Like, I'm on a phone with you right now. This is 20 years later talking about The Wire. Like, I mean, it's like...
And there's people listening to this that just rewatched that whole series this year, I guarantee it. Like, it's exactly. One of those that it has it. Sometimes we go back and I watch or listen to things that I loved in the 90s or whatever, and I'm like, oh, God, that's terrible. But you talk about things that stand the test of time. You can still go back and watch. I mean, the Amsterdam season of The Wire is still, that's going to stay with me till I die. I'm going to be referencing things back to that, That's true, man. And just, Poot was only supposed to be, I want to say, in the first episode of the season, season 1, or the first 2 episodes, I guess. I didn't know I was going to make it past season 1, not alone 5 seasons later. Right.
Well, when I say 5 seasons later, I'm talking about being on all 5 seasons of The Wire. As this character. And then my story arc was Poot had seen so much living in them streets. He had to kill one of his friends. He sold drugs. Things just wasn't working out, got locked up. Then he becomes a manager at Foot Locker. And it's like, wow, it just shows that you can go from, bad to good. You can change your life around when it's time to change your life,
Coming back onto a David Simon set with We Own This City, can you talk a little bit about what it was like to... Did it feel like coming back into The Wire? Did it feel like a whole different animal?
Well, first, man, the process of, just getting back with, just having a conversation with David Simon. I mean, come on, this is the creator of The Wire. Like him, Nina Noble, George Pelicanos, Ed Burns, and then our amazing director, Renato Marcus Green, who directed King Richard. Walking back on that set was like, it brought back memories of The Wire because we shot it in Baltimore.
Yeah.
So some of the streets that we shot scenes, I was right back there, and it was like, whoa, like what? This is what not giving up looks like. Like, this is what following your dreams look like after 20 years if you just stay consistent and persistent. And then David Simon and George Pelicanos and Nina Noble welcoming me with open arms. Like, man, we missed you. How have you been? Like everybody's been doing work, throughout the years. We've all been on, we're all on television shows, we're all doing movies, but to get back with David Simon, the guy who's responsible for why people know who Tray Chaney is, that was the different beast for me, because now we've all grown. Everybody has grown into the artists and the actors and the directors, writers, producers that they are, and it's a family. We grew up together, So it's like, man, it was just a surreal moment. It's a full circle moment for me still to this day to even be talking about it, and I just had so much fun filming. And come on, man, John Bernthal, this guy. Like, I was just telling somebody the other day, I'm like, we were at the premiere of We Own the City in New York, and I told John, I said, man, I'm watching you, man. I'm studying you. And he said, no, I'm watching you. You crushed your role as Gordon Hawk, a police officer. And I'm like, wait a minute, did John Bernthal just tell me that I'm good and I'm great? And I'm like, yeah, I must be dreaming, like, for real.
Well, I think there's something about, particularly the entertainment industry, that there's almost a hurdle of normalizing it. Like, you're either on this side of the TV where it's just magic, and I can't be part of that. That's just magic up there. And then at some point you realize that the people making movies or shows are the people making shows. They know how to do it, and it's an acceptable thing for them to say out loud, I'm about to do this. And I would think that getting to experience that on The Wire as your first role would be a thing that would really help overcome that, where you go, no, I'm legit to be here. I'm okay to be here. Legit people have looked at me and said, yes, stay.
Yeah, you know what? You hit it right on the nose, because even though I'm saying, John Bernthal has told me that I'm great and I'm here, it made me also realize I'm not questioning the universe. I'm not questioning God. If I'm right where I'm supposed to be, because I looked at the work from 2002 when I was casted for The Wire to 2022, everything that I've done to lead up to this point. And it's even documented in my documentary Undeniable that's on Tubi right now. Like, it's documented of when The Wire ended. Yes, it was a rough time, because I didn't understand the business. I didn't know that I wasn't just going to blow up and be this big Hollywood star. I had to rebrand myself. I got back out in the streets of Washington, D.C., which is where I'm from. I sold merchandise out of the trunk of my own car. And, but I was building a fan base during that time, not realizing what I was actually doing, but a fan base was being built. And And, I get cast as a series regular on Saints and Sinners on Bounce TV's #1 show, and we're 6 seasons in as we speak today. So it's like, okay, during that time of filming, then David Simon calls back 20 years later and says, Trey, we need you to read for this role. That felt good, just getting the call to read for Gordon Hawk, because once I read for it, then it felt more like, okay, I earned it. Mm-hmm. And they cast me because I earned it. Yeah, they know my work, but I still had to read. And that was the icing on the cake. When I walked on that set, I said, yeah, this is real. This is the real deal. This is HBO. And even HBO, all of the executives, all of the publicists, all of the departments up there, they watched me grow up. Mm-hmm. I was 20 years old, like, when they met me. I'm 40 now. I wasn't even legal when they met me. And now, being 40, being married with kids, and, I'm like, yeah, this is right. This feels right.
Well, I'm sure it's an amazing feeling to feel discovered, to know somewhere secret inside you that I think I'm great, and then have somebody recognize it and give you this shot. But there's still maybe that fear in your mind that you can't, that you won't prove it, or that they're wrong. And then to have that moment 20 years later again with some of the same folks, to get that same moment twice, but this time know that it's on the strength of what you've done these 20 years. Is a really, I think, rare experience.
It really is, man. It really is, because, like you said, it's knowing what you can do, and knowing, and dealing with rejection in this business so mm-hmm. much as an actor. Auditioning, going on 1,000 auditions and not booking one.
Yeah.
But somewhere deep down inside, still having the passion and the drive to say, you know what, I know I'm not going through all of this for nothing. And I know this is the process of being in this business, and eventually it's going to turn around. And We Own This City was the turning point. It was, and it sounds surreal saying it because it's 20 years later, but it was the turning point for me. Like, man, everything you did in between leading up to this moment, and now HBO, David Simon, you earned this role. They put you back in this spotlight where now social media wasn't what it was when The Wire was on. Now we got social media. Now we have people can pick up a phone and say, whoa, there he is right there. Millions of people. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like the timing couldn't have been perfect. It's like, okay, now the timing is perfect, and now, boom. And it makes people even look and say, okay, well, this guy is playing a cop. But when you have other fans that's been with me since 2002, they're like, oh, that's Poot. Mm-hmm. So then people are like, well, wait a minute, Poot? Who's Poot? Then they go back and look at everything I've done to this point. So that's what I'm experiencing now. It's like, man, I just watched The Wire all 5 seasons because they said that you play somebody named Poot. But I was watching you as this police officer, Gordon Hawk. So it's kind of like it's like the rebirth.
Yeah,
that's what people call it. They're like, yo, Trey's experiencing a rebirth right now, and it's amazing. And I'm just glad that I never stopped starring in television shows or films, or never stopped putting out content mm-hmm. to lead up to this point. Because just think, if I would have gave up after The Wire ended, it may not have been a Gordon Hawk. I don't know.
Yeah, or those, like you said, those first few auditions you go on that you don't get anything. You've just got to forget about it when you walk out of there. I've been told that so many times that, as an actor, your job is not booking roles. Your job is going on auditions that you will not book. And you just got to keep going. And,
exactly.
And that's the gig. And something that when I look at your IMDb, you're steady working. There's a project every couple of years. There's some, I'm sure, longer shoots and some lean times and whatnot, but you're steadily working. And I know that that's like any sales job. That's the result of 1,000 cold calls to get a couple of things. You've got to keep yourself in the game like that mentally, in order to be ready. And I think that that's got to be coming off of something like The Wire. I think that has to be another hurdle that you mentally push through of okay, I got that first one. How do I get the second one? All right, well, I didn't get that audition. But I still need that second one. Where do we go?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so, and I love these conversations because this is exactly what it is. It's, I went on before I booked Saints and Sinners. I wasn't steady working from 2010 to 2015. 5 years. It wasn't it was movies here and there. It was like little movies. I might spend a day on a movie, but the steady gigs like a television show where you're like, okay, I'm a series regular. I'm getting paid every week. It's like, okay, once you get that check for that one day, that's it. It's like, all right, well, what's next? Like, how am I going to pay my mortgage? How am I going to pay this car note? Like, what? But for me, and I always tell actors, it has nothing to do with our art and our work and how good we are. It's just a part of the process as an actor. We audition more than we actually book, but at the same time, we do have to have a life outside of it because it can drain you mentally. It can be like, okay, because but one thing I do as an actor when I go on auditions, they're going to get such a solid and great performance. That's what I love. And that's what keeps me going. I'm like, I know I can act. I'm going to go in here, give them a solid performance. I'm happy about when I leave the audition, whether I book it or not. And that mindset is what keeps me going. Like, okay. And then I can't lie about this. Like the Wire, I was on the Wire. So yeah, 9 times out of 10, having that on my resume is like, okay, well, he was on the Wire. I've had casting directors reach back out to me years later and cast me for like different movies, also saying, hey, you read for me before, but I recognized you. You were on The Wire when you were a kid. I loved you on the show. Here's a project. Yeah. Boom. So, it's a hustle. It's like a grind that I've inherited, that I've made a part of my whole routine. And I'm like, look, I'm going to use this as a stepping stone because this show is powerful enough. And now with We Own This City, it's like, there it is. It's boom. Yeah,
When people know you can hit your marks, they know you can take direction. They know there's a certain level of professionalism that you could check that box off, or David Simon wouldn't have cast you twice, surely. If you were there's got to be a certain ability to calm down some casting, calm down some directors of like, oh no, we know he will show up and do the work. We know it, known quantity.
Yeah, that's true. And it'll always be that level and that level of professionalism and that quality of work, whatever room I step in, just because I take this serious. This is a serious thing for me.
I just watched the screener I got for We Need to Talk, and one thing that struck me there is that you're hilarious. Your character. There's a speed to the lines. There's a rom-com comedy feel to the dialogue that has to be hit, and it's different. It's obviously different than The Wire. It's different than playing a cop, and you're right at ease there and fit right in with all of that too. And I hope that people get, like you said, when you see you in a role and you go back and watch everything else you've done. I will hope people can catch on to these things that show your range here, because you're funnier than I would think in The Wire, but also that ability to be human and humorous is what made you be able to stay on The Wire, which makes you so compelling on screen. And I loved getting to see you play a little bit outside of what I think of as your wheelhouse.
Exactly. And that's what drew me to We Need to Talk. But it goes back to this. Todd Wolf, the writer, director, producer, I've known Todd for 12 years. Me and Todd's first film we did together was in 2010. It was called Streets, and Meek Mill, huge rapper, was the star of it. So Todd remembers me from 10 years ago. Me and him speak all the time for 10 years. And that's one thing. I keep in contact with everybody just to check on them, even if it's checking on them How the kids doing? How's the wife doing? So we kept in contact, and he said, Trey, I got a role. I have this role, but it's something that you've never played before. It's a video gamer. And I said, oh, okay, because my son, he's 16, he's a video gamer. So I'm like, okay, well, when I have time to play video games, I'll play, but I don't, video gaming is not my thing. But once I read the story, I said, this is not just a rom-com. This is not just a drama. This has some heart in it.
It really does.
This great Scott Gamer character who's played by James Maslow, who's phenomenal. That's my brother. This guy is a huge, famous YouTube gamer that's putting his all into spending time online. The message in that is, how do we create balance? How do we not neglect the ones who really love us and, our girlfriends, our friends? How do we create that balance? So it was that for me. I said the story is going to hit home so much, not just in the video gaming world, but just people in general that spend a lot of time online. Yeah. People look for validation from somebody that says a bad comment on Instagram. Like it's unbelievable.
All the times that Scott's responding to a comment when his girlfriend's saying something to him, like, man, one of these conversations is real and you're not listening to the real one.
Yeah, and that's what it was for me, man. I said, this is going to be something that touches people in a totally different way. And when I read Tango Unchained, which was, and this is the first time I'm letting people know this, Todd Wolf wrote Tango Unchained for me. He wrote it for me. Everything that was said, everything. He said, I pictured you as Tango. That's what he told me. He said, I pictured you as Tango. I wrote this for you, and none of my dialogue was ad-lib, because this was some stuff that I would really say to a 12-year-old kid that, was kind of trying to antagonize me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, I said, man, of course I'm doing this film. And I had so much fun on set, man. The vibe with all of the actors, Jonathan Fernandez, Crystal Khalil, Emily Bett Ricards, we're a family now, and man, We Need to Talk is just one of those films, man. It just draws you in, and it's funny. I mean, like, you can even admit we need laughter today in this world. We need to laugh a little bit,
Well, and to me, the core of the movie speaks to what you were just talking about with how you know the difference in networking and friends with somebody, or this times you realize that maybe you've pushed the people close to you into like business roles in your life, and you're not really present to them. So that, Scott's got, it's not his best friend helping him make videos. He's relegated this guy to being purely his editor and yells at him like an employee sometimes. And that's a problem. And that same kind of thing, when you're really connecting with people and you're staying in touch, and they'll remember you in 10 years because you're friends with them, and they'll go, man, I wrote this for you.
Yeah. And that's what happened even with We Own This City. I kept a lot of people in a lot of stuff that I'm saying right now, people are just actually figuring this out. I stayed in contact with David Simon for 15 years. I've reached out to him on email. I've always checked in on him. Always. All of the cast members, I've always emailed them if I would see him. Hey, what's your number, man? What you got going on? Hey, I'm doing this. Why don't you come? I'm having an event. Pull up at my event. Let's chill. Outside of the business.
Yeah.
So it never was business. No. Yeah. I want to know how your kids are doing.
I feel like people could smell that. I feel like people know when you're.
Yeah, they can feel when you're just saying, okay, hey, give me another role. It ain't. It's not. That's not how. Well, for me anyway, that's not how I operate. Yeah. I don't want to just be known as the guy that's like, hey, I need a. Hey, David, you're the biggest person in Hollywood. I need a role tomorrow if you can help. Right. I'm broke or whatever. Like, you want to be able to say, man, we had lunch. We didn't say one word about the business.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't even talk. And another thing that HBO did for me, they, I'm a hip hop artist. My song is playing and We Own This City in one of my singles. Yeah, so it
is
really...
that Self-Made Star? Is that the one?
No, it's not Self-Made Star. It's called No, hold up. It's not Self-Made Star. It's called Know the Feeling. But got it. Self-Made Star was in Jamesy Boy. That was considered in Jamesy Boy. But, yeah, man, it's called Know the Feeling, and it's in the stakeout scene with me, Kilpatrick, and McDougal, and We Own This City. And just the fact that, it's almost like everything that I asked them. I said, man, I'm an artist. They like, oh, send some music. Let's see if something works. And it worked. And now I'm looking at, I'm looking at residual income from a song that was placed. I'm not signed. I'm an unsigned artist, independent. And I'm looking at a song that's placed in a major HBO series now, along with me playing a cop. And it's like, it just worked out. Yeah. It all just worked out.
Man, I can't wait to see where it goes from here and to keep watching you work. I really appreciate your time today. Thanks so much for talking to me about it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
And I hope everybody goes out and checks out We Need to Talk when it's available. Really fun movie. And, of course, We Own the City's on right now. Everybody can go watch your work. Thanks again.
Yeah. Thank you.
TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener-supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TVDudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV Dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith.
To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.